Hi guys, my name is Steve B. Coming to you today to talk a little bit about staying sober for today. Hope you guys are doing all right on this. Well, where I am, it's very frigid, very cold. It's in the 20s, very cold. But anyway, I um I wanted to talk a little bit today, to see how you're doing, to give you a little bit of encouragement to stay sober for today. Today happens to be January 31st, 2025, and it's going to be that all day. And the one and only, it's these have been really hard winter days lately. We've been getting hammered, single digit numbers, it's man, it's rough, but I'm here to tell you that you don't have to drink, you don't have to use, you know we can go through these cold days of winter together, and stay sober a day at a time, day at a time. I had a It was a really good meeting I went to yesterday. I really identify with the gentleman that was sharing. He was talking about a household he grew up in, a household I grew up in. It sounded very similar. It sounded like we had similar dads. My dad was very, very verbally abusive. I think this is just my opinion, and he would deny it probably up and down. But I say that when I was a kid, man, it was very hard. It was very hard being around him. I had a love hate relationship with him. I thought he was God. And that's a misnomer. No, no, because God isn't a punishing, yelling, dominant, um, verbally abusive person. I love my dad, and it was a long, hard time that I went through trying to find peace with the fact with him. Being my dad, and my the family I grew up in. There was five of us kids. And of course there was him and my mom, and they were constantly at each other's throats, and that was the thing that got to me. I grew up a very shy, introverted little boy, and I have to tell you that it was hard. It wasn't easy. It was a tough thing to grow up with all that crap going on. But here I am today. I'm 68 years old, and I think, and I really believe that, like the person that took the most of my growing up, and of me being verbally abused. I think my son took the worst of it, because I grew up and I was very angry, and when I was drinking, I exhibited a lot of that anger. And unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it now. It's part of the past. It's uh it's definitely something that, like going through my recovery and stuff. I did a lot of work, a lot of talking about about various things that were wrecking my life, that or had wrecked my life. And coming back to my childhood upbringing, and facing it head on was a hard thing to do. And thank God I did it, though. Thank God I did it, because I know what happened now. I know what was going on. And me, as a little kid, I had very little to say about, not much. I grew up listening to that people like fight. They fight verbally. There was no physical abuse, at least not that I know of, but there was a lot of definite verbal abuse. To the kids, to my mom. Dad. He probably did the best he could with what he had. and he probably had a tough upbringing too. I have no idea. I have no idea. I have a decent relationship with him now, but that was hard won. I could never get to know the guy, and I never thought I would get to know the guy. He was just beyond my reach. And I tell you, I'm glad I did all that work and face the past, and that's what it is facing the past, and it's learning to deal with the things that were wrecking my life or making me miserable or unhappy. And lo and behold, here I am today. And I'm still facing this crap today. You know, God has been very good to me. He's been showing me, peace and serenity. You know, despite having a rough upbringing. Some people have had it worse. Some people have it really bad and come out fine. Some people have it worse and yeah, or have it good and they come out bad. It's up to the person and the choices we make. And the best choice I ever made was coming into recovery and learning how to handle recovery a day at a time. And yeah, it's it's a beautiful thing, recovery. And if you're new and wondering if it works, I'm living proof that it does. So give it a chance. You know, see what happens. There's so many elements that come into play in recovery. And I think the main element is a relationship with God, my Savior, God, Jesus, my God. I have it took me a long time, but I'm at the place now where I appreciate, the fact that Jesus is the biggest part of my life. And when I get up and I deal with stuff, I get up in the morning and like, what am I gonna do? Well, I want to help people, so and make a little video, go to a meeting, share my experience, strength, and hope, and hopefully that's the right thing to do, because I need to be in God's will. And if God's will says, help other people, then I got to help other people. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I wanted to do this little video this morning, to encourage you guys, whatever you're going to do on this January 31st, 2026. And, it's very frigid here. It's like 25 degrees out. And it's like an ice box out here, and but anyway, I'm gonna be on my way. I'm gonna go to it's a weekend, and in the winter I don't have the club to go to, so I'm gonna go to another meeting, and I am going to and I'm gonna try to get some medicine, to get me through the day. And it will. Hopefully I, hear some good stuff and that I could add to my life to make my life better. We were supposed to get a huge snowstorm this weekend, like massive, like one in a century storms it was gonna really blast us hard, and it missed us. And I can't say I'm very happy it missed us. We just had that other big storm the other day, and this might have done some damage. But thank God it missed us. Thank God it went out to sea. Well, it's gonna hit a couple of other places, you know but not us, thank God. Thank God. It's just one more thing. So dodged the bullet there. What are you guys up to on this day? You got any good plans? You gonna do anything good? You know, hopefully you're gonna have a nice, clean, and sober day, because that's what it is. It's just what we do with the day. You know, you could say, well, I'm not, you know, I'm gonna stay sober for the rest of my life. Well, you got to deal with one day at a time, and that's where it gets tough, because you know, like, one day at a time is where it all lies. What are you gonna do with today? Today, you might have a monkey wrench thrown at you, and it's like, now what? But you know, with God on our side, with the program, the steps, everything, we can do it. And if you need help, ask for help. Guys, I'm very happy you checked in with me today, you know, and with that, please give me a like and subscribe, and leave a chat if you want. Love to talk to you. God bless.